Hi, welcome to WarHQ. My name is Luke. What I thought I would go through today for the Kickstarter and for interested parties is the full model range of the Vikings in 15mm for Blade Wrath Fury of Vikings. So each of these units that I'm going to show you today have 8 unique poses, as each of the units are comprised of 8 men each. So you'll see that today, and it's actually a really huge range. I'm really excited to show it off to you guys because it's been in development for over a year now, and I've just loved painting them. I've loved the production and sort of just working with sculpture and that to make these a reality, and just all those little fine details and tuning. So the idea is just to show you these, and while I'm here, I may as well go through some of the brief sort of unit descriptions and what sort of advantages they have without getting too detailed for this particular video. We'll go more into that in a later one. But for now, let's get started. The first unit we're going to look at today are the Bondi Spearmen. Alright, so this is your bread and butter sort of unit of the Viking army. Most warriors would have been probably primarily armed this way, especially freemen that weren't herdmen. Now, in the game, they have a regular resolve, regular discipline, so nothing super special there. They do have the keyword shielded, so they get bonuses in that respect. Now, their main advantages in combat are if they get charged and they're in a closed order, like they are shown right now, they receive 1 extra offensive dice in that first turn per 2 models that they have. So as a full unit like this, they could get +4 to anyone that charged them from the front as far as dice go in the first round of combat, which is very strong. Other than that, they can only really defensively brace with their extra shieldsmen in the back ranks in subsequent melee turns, and that's only at a 1 per 2 model basis. So that is a pretty basic unit, and that's what kicks us off. Second Bondi unit we have is kind of the counter or the opposite to the spearmen that we just saw before. Now these are the Bondi Raiders. Okay, so these guys are armed with light hand weapons, so they've got either like long saxes, which is a knife, or hand axes, and they are shielded as well. The main bonuses of these troops is that regardless of what formation they're in, being open or closed, they get the open movement value, so they're very rapid and fast, like a raider should be, right? If you're coming in and pillaging little villages and stuff. Now, their biggest advantage in combat is on the charge. So these guys get +1 dice per rear rank model on the charge, and that is really their main advantage. Sustained melee, they're not so great at. They're pretty average, really, so you want to get them in their charge, bust units up, and then disengage, and then do it again. So that's our Bondi Raiders. First of our Viking missile units is the Bondi Archers. Now, like the rest of the Bondi, they're all resolve and discipline regular. These ones have the bow keyword, obviously, and they have unarmored, so they're not really good at fighting. They only get 1 dice per 2 models, regardless of what formation they're in for fighting, which is very poor. So keep them out of close combat, as you would. Now, the advantages of bows over other missile weapons is in closed ranks, like you see them at the moment. Archers receive a bonus of 1 dice per rear rank model for shooting offensively, which is really powerful. They can also, in this formation, they can also shoot an extra 6 inches with a sort of a fire for effect kind of thing if you're shooting beyond your maximum range, because they're all sort of shooting together in unison as a sort of more of a drilled unit than other missile units. I've kept them this way just for some strategic advantage. But other than that, that's our archers. Our second missile unit is the Bondi Javelineers. So these are generally youths, very energetic young guys armed with javelins, rocks, whatever they can throw at the enemy. Now these guys obviously have one difference about these is their discipline is poor. So they don't have any real military training like the others do, and formation training, because these guys are what you'd call a skirmishing unit. And that's what they're primarily used for. Now they can't form into closed ranks, as you could imagine with javelins. There's no real advantage to that. They're just more in the gaps and getting around behind the enemy, throwing javelins in their backs. So these guys, the javelin itself is an interesting weapon. Now, it gets a bonus when it's within 4 inches of the enemy that it's shooting at. So the unit armed this way will get the penetrating ability for a start, so they'll minus the enemy's armor by 1. And they will also get When within 4 inches of the enemy, they will get +1 offensive dice for shooting per 2 models. So you'll notice with the archers, they got that with being closed and shooting together. These are the opposite. They've got to be close and they're in their open formation, and they get the bonus as well. Very similar. Skirmishing makes them a lot harder to hit with other missile weapons, and also to try and pin down by other units because they're very good at evading, obviously. Okay, we come to the first of our proper Vikings, I guess you'd say. These are our professional Vikings anyway. And this is a unit of Herdman Swordsmen. Now, Herdman Swordsmen, all of the Herdman units have been balanced against each other, being sword, axe, and spear. So that's how the sort of internal melee balance has been done, just like with javelins, archers, and slings for the missile weapons. So these guys are all balanced against each other. So these guys have a elite resolve and regular discipline. They're shielded, so they get those bonuses, and they're also armoured, so they're a lot harder to kill. So armoured gives you like a minor success to save any wounds that come your way. It's like a death save, yeah. Now, the main thing on these guys, they're really good on the charge, very much like the Raiders, but they could do it a bit better, I think. So on the charge, they can brace and they get 1 dice per rear rank, which makes them quite strong. But other than that, if they're in a sustained melee after the first turn, they can only really defensively brace those in the front rank and only add a 1 per 2 model thing from the rear rank. So it's still pretty good. And these are the only units in the game so far that can form their own different formation, and that's called the boar snout or the sphinere. So in this formation, they can, I won't go too much into it, but yeah, you're basically trying to punch holes through the enemy unit and go through the other side of them, which makes them quite powerful. So that is our swordsman unit. Now, probably the most punchy of the herdman units is this unit, the herdman axemen. Like, they've got the same, all of these have the same resolve and discipline as their swordsman counterpart that I just talked about, so I won't go into that. Now, they're armoured as well. Now, they have cleaving and negation with their 2-handed axes, which is really cool. So cleaving, very much like the penetrating ability of the javelins, reduces the enemy's armour by 1 level, which is very powerful. And negation removes the shielded ability, which makes the defensive dice of the enemy a lot lower as well. But they do pay for this by having no shields themselves, so their defensive capability is only 1 per model in dice, which is very poor and diminishes very quickly when you start losing them. But they do get a bonus. They are classed as having shields, they just don't use them in hand-to-hand combat. So they do get bonuses with archery, like if they're getting shot at. And that's pretty much our axeman unit. The last of our herdman units is the herdman spearmen. These guys are shielded and armoured like their other herdman counterparts. Now, these guys are probably the most balanced when it comes to the actual game. They can use, like they get bonuses if charged to the front as well, which makes them very powerful. But they can also choose to offensively or defensively brace. Now, the other 2 herdman units can only do one or the other. This one can do both, but it's at a half rate. So from the second rank, you're only getting 1 dice per 2 models in the second rank for either offensive or defensive bracing. So that's what they do. But they also get bonuses for being charged as well, just like the spearmen do, which is the same thing. It's 1 dice per 2 models in the unit, which is very powerful. Another note with the herdmen is they actually get bonuses against other, depending on what their enemies are armed with. So with these spearmen, they get a +2 dice if in the melee where they're fighting axemen. As you can imagine, spears have quite an advantage on axemen with length and the pokey ability of them. Now, the axemen, they get a bonus against swordsmen, and the swordsmen, they get a bonus against spearmen. Now, this is from my own actual fighting experience on the units this size and what sort of works well against each other, and it gives an internal balance factor to the game as well. Now, the first of our exotic units in the game. So this is the Berserkers. You can see down here. Now, they have a resolve that's elite, and they have poor discipline. Their keywords are fearless, which gives them a death save on a minor success, which can't be reduced by penetrating or cleaving weapons. But they're also impetuous, so they're prone to like following up people that break and also charging headlong into combat without orders. So you've got to keep those things in mind. Now, The best thing about these things, they are like a glass cannon, but they are the hardest hitting model in the game, because regardless of the situation, you get 2 dice per model in this unit, which is very powerful. So at full strength, you can get 16 dice offensively when you charge with them, which is nasty. Now, all berserkers are only 1 dice defensively per model, and there's their main weakness. It starts at 8, but then it just rapidly reduces because they're pretty much unarmored, right? Now, they can't form a closed formation. As you can see here, they're in an open formation to represent their sort of how they're used on the battlefield. And then on the first turn of combat as well, on a successful charge, if they successfully charge, they increase their fearless ability to a major and a minor success. So it's like it goes from a 1 in 3 chance of saving wounds to a 1 in 2, which is very powerful. So this unit on the first turn is near impossible to budge, and you usually get snotted by it. But if you manage to survive that, then they generally get taken down relatively quickly. So that glass cannon-y thing is what I'm going for with these guys. Okay, second of our exotic units for the Viking army are the Ulfidar, so the wolf berserkers, I guess you call them. Now these guys have an elite resolve and elite discipline. They're fearless, like the berserkers, so they get a minor success save, like a death save. Now, the main advantages to these guys is they can work closed or open, and they're pretty good with each. So if they can go into sort of like a defensive sort of stance, if they go into an open formation, and they get 2 dice per model to defend, which is really cool. So super hard to hit if you want to make them a defensive sort of unit. And defensively, they can close order, and they get +1 per rear rank in a closed order for offensive dice when fighting. So you've got quite a lot of options with the Ulfidar. They're a bit of a utility piece. So yeah, that's what the Ulfidar are. Now, these are some of the heroes. There's 14 actual heroes within the Viking army, so there's 2 packs that you can buy, which are really cool, and they're variations of each other. This is just a little bit of a mix of what we've got in front of us here. So you can see there you've got a Mercus Martyr, which is a standard bearer, you've got a drummer, a musician, you've got a local champion there, you've got a famous berserk hero, you've got a Stellari, which is like the Martial Guard. The guy at the front is a Jarl. I won't go into all of the details on these guys. There's a few other types of units of heroes as well. And as I said, there'll be 2 different packs and 14 different variants of these heroes. So that's just a brief overview of the miniatures. You get a bit of a look there, and just a little bit about what they do in Blade Wrath. I haven't gone into great detail in it. There'll be more videos on that kind of stuff, but this is just a general overview for those Kickstarter and backers that are interested. As you can see, this is a beautiful range, and the amount of variation you can get in this army is amazing, with all the different models and variants. There's a couple more ranges coming out for this as well. I won't spoil right here. With the Vikings, there's a couple of additions, but the range itself will have over 100 unique models by the time it's done. It's pretty much finished now as the time of recording this. So yeah, keep tuned on this, and yeah, let me know what you think about these, and yeah, let's go.